How you doing?
Like a David Foster Wallace version of our podcast. Like it would be the footnote, just the footnote.
Right. And I haven't read. Have you read any of his books? It sounds like you have.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Your audio does kind of go in and out a little bit.
Does it? It might.
A little bit. It might be.
Okay.
I have to ask you to repeat something occasionally.
How about now? Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good. So anyhow, it's good to make your acquaintance. Welcome.
Yeah.
Where are you right now with that whiteboard to your left? And looks like you're in one of those shares, maybe in a conference room.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I am living in exile right now outside of New York City.
Oh yeah.
My home. I'm in New Haven right now here, where I've been for past couple of months, sort of month to month. So I got myself a little space to get out of my little cabin. I was starting to have some cabin fever, so yeah. I needed to get out, and so yeah, I had something like this in Brooklyn, so it's making me feel like I'm at home, even though I'm not. But yeah, I just got some of my little doodles and reminders up here. It's nothing. It's maybe a beautiful mindish, but it's mostly gibberish.
Well, I understand. I'm actually I'm in the Hudson Valley myself, so but I haven't gotten cabin fever yet. But I was in New York until the end of June, and I was definitely getting it there. And then when I moved up here, there's so much more freedom to wander about and do things because there's just no crowds or, anyway. But I'm getting over to Connecticut, actually picking up a friend from the airport. I've agreed to drive her to her place, which is in Haddam.
Oh, wow. I don't know where that is.
I don't either.
But it is nice that you get to, even though you don't have people around you get to have conversations like these.
Right.
I'm assuming, so that must be fulfilling. Feel like you have company in some way.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. But definitely, I definitely am so glad to be doing this. And a lot of the people I invite back on are friends and that type of thing. So,
That's cool.
And what's really nice is I'm very close to the Woodstock Film Festival, and I have relationships with those people. And it's not arbitrary that I ended up living so close to it. I'm across the river from there, and so it's a no-brainer to kind of cover that and see some of the films. And your film Materna, which we're going to talk about, and is actually is one of the featured films at the festival, and is actually one of the few films that is not part of their virtual segment, but part of their drive-in. So you're going to be at the drive-in now. Which night is? Oh, I have it right here. I don't have to ask you anything because I've got all my notes. So it's
Friday night.
Friday night.
Friday night, baby.
This Friday coming up, which is the 2nd of October.
Yeah. It's
exciting. Are you participating? Are you actually going to make your way here?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to drive. I'm a car owner now. For the first time in my life, I have a Subaru because I'm not in the city. I've always taken the train. So I had to get a car to get to my space, to my office here. So now I can, because you can only get to the drive-in if you have a car. So I can do it. I'm going to do it. I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's
also because it's my film.
And because it's your film. This is a footnote. It just happens to be the first feature film you directed, and and a lot of people are buying cars for the first time, or for the first time in a very long time, because our lives have changed so much, so dramatically. The way we show films, I don't imagine when you started this process, David, that you thought you could have imagined or predicted that your film's premiere, at least in this festival, was going to be at a drive-in, that you'd be showing your film.
No, I could not. That is just I don't even know where to begin. But yeah, it's cool. Hey, you know, it's special. I'm gonna remember it. So
Yeah. Well, I hope it's a very memorable and positively so experience on Friday.
really excited. I'm excited. You know,
There you go.
when I think about drive-ins, I think of, you know, like it's a really sort of it's great to like go see like a hangout movie, you know, you know, maybe genre like a horror or something like that. It's a social experience. Um, I don't know if you've seen Materna yet, but it's I think it's fair to
Oh,
say you
oh.
have. You have? I don't know. I don't. You could be like
Okay.
like what's his name? Like Mark Maron on What the Fuck. He's so funny. He always no matter who he's got, he's like, oh, I made it halfway through the book. Oh, I saw some of the movie. Oh, good. And it's a way to kind of destabilize. Like, doesn't matter who it is. It could be Tony
Well,
Collette. It's like, oh, I haven't really seen your work, so you're gonna have to tell me about it
I'm
now.
in a position, well, that's a good point, but I'm in a position where I'm doing a podcast on films, right? So a film is, typically, unless you're Fred Wiseman, but typically a film is, maybe 80 to 100 minutes average. That's very different than trying to read a, 500-page book twice a week or something like that.
Right.
So it's,
Right. Yeah.
and he's doing 2
Fair
shows
point.
a week. I do one.
Sure.
I do bring on authors, but I give myself a lot of. I don't bring on that many, and I give I say, okay, let's get in touch in a month once I have the book. So, but yeah, I mean, but you should see the films, and in fact, I've been doing this a long time, so I typically seen all of the films. I've seen all your feature films, in other words, David. All your films.
Thanks.
Your entire film.
Thanks for doing the homework. I appreciate you putting in the time.
And I watched at least 2 of the chapters in your movie. I
Yeah,
mentioned this
no, it's
because
great.
Materna, see, we're actually talking about your film, is sort of an omnibus in a way. It's one of those, is that what it would be called? It's sort, or is that not the right word? Those are 4 separate, I forget what they call it.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
I'm not sure if it's
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it that. An
yeah,
omnibus or an anthology is you know, you have sort of 4, like,
it's
I don't know,
not,
a collection of shorts or something like that. This is more like, I don't know, an Amoros Peros or a Babel, like an early sort of Inarritu film where there's you know, there are
yeah.
separate stories, but there is a uniting there's an event, a plot thread that unites
Also
all the characters.
Creep Show, or one of those
Oh,
horror.
oh yeah.
There are a lot of horror films which are like Creep Show. I was saying, like Stephen King's Creep Show, where
Right.
therefore, although even in those, there's usually I think an omnibus has different directors, like New York Stories, but yours is vignettes, but they are tied together, and in between each vignette or chapter of the movie, there is more. You discover more of what the event that they share in common. It
Exactly.
unfolds through the film. So
Exactly.
by the end of it, at the epilogue, you sort of then you have the full idea of this a violent. We'll say it's a violent event because it might draw some more people into it.
Yeah.
But it takes place on the subway, that part. So at the beginning and then in between each of the 4 stories, and the 4 women that are on the subway, we go into each of their lives and we find out. And I would say that I was thinking as I was watching Kate's scene or part, is that this was going to be something of a horror film, because you kind of build the tension in the scene in that way. It feels like that, but it's a dramatic film at its core. It's all, I mean, there are just dramatic things about these 4 women who have something. I guess the thread is something about motherhood, woman, right? Identity as a woman, as a mother or daughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's smart. I think that's an accurate read. But I think it's interesting that you say that there is a kind of horror component, uh, you know, and that's set in that first sort of chapter, because in a way, we've always seen them as sort of kind of ghost stories, and on a very real level, on a psychological level. but you know, in the first story, there is this kind of, I mean, not to give too much away, but there, you know, there is an invisible presence, a virtual presence. In the second, there is a mother that is not present, and that is not there. There's a that is conjured in this kind of enacted scene at the end of the section. In the third, there's this event, this sort of this thing that people are trying to make sense of, this that sort of hovers over the action, and then finally there's a deceased person. So they're all dealing with a kind of ghost that is experienced psychologically and emotionally, but there is a horror element to it, which I'm glad you picked up on. But yeah, so which brings me back to why it is kind of interesting to do this, do a drive-in, because a drive-in is
The genre.
I think ideally suited to you know, yeah, genre films, a social experience where, you know, you could just kind of hang out and have fun with it, and it doesn't, you can stay with it, but you don't have to like hook on to every moment. You know, and this is, since you've seen all of it, you know that it's a very sort of immersive, emotional, and psychological experience. And so I'm really curious to see how that plays in a drive-in setting. It does help that the first part of the film does have this more overtly horror component, which could hopefully help, you know, sort of hook people and teach people to see it in that way, and then it can evolve over the course of it.
Well, and the film keeps you off kilter, the viewer. Yeah. So, and that is kind of welcome. I mean, there's a lot of content we are, you know, provided with that makes us very comfortable. A lot of episodics certainly are all about, you know, putting you in a zone, very comfortable. It's like, you know, not junk food necessarily, but comfort food or something like that, where you just feel, you know, this is, now I can kind of turn. Whereas a film that puts you off kilter is demanding more. You have to kind of lean in more to the film and really be, you know, you're not going to know what's going to happen. You're not going to know where this is going to go. And I think your film is a good example of that, you know.
I love hearing you talk about it, and, you know, hearing myself talk about it. Because honestly, because for me, it's a really, I have no idea how to talk about it. It's a real sort of, you know, when you're first like putting it together and you're trying to get cast and you're trying to get all your people, your infantry to go out and make this thing together. You have a language for it. You know how it fits within all the compartments and all the talking points and all those things. It's all very clear and lucid. And then you get on set and all of that goes to shit. You know, it completely, there's everyone has to kind of reimagine and redefine what the film is, the actor, the cinematographer, everybody. And by the time you finish the shoot, you're just like, what just happened? And then you have this puzzle that's been completely disassembled, and you're in the edit, and then you don't know. You have to abandon the language and find a new language, a visual language, an editorial language, which has its own sort of, you know, logic. And then you finish the edit, and you've got this thing, and you don't know how to talk about it anymore because you've learned a new language for telling the film, which is the editorial visual language. So now I'm here just like, how do I put in words this, you know, what this movie is? So it's always an exciting kind of, this is sort of the next chapter in sort of learning about what my movie is about, talking to you about it, talking to folks about it. So yeah.
And then you're going to have the audience. I mean, you know, and I'm like, even though I may be very exceptional, I don't know if I'm I don't know if I'm
accessible or exceptional.
Exceptional. Well, I mean, in a sense, not quality wise as a show, but I just mean that I don't know that I represent average I don't know. I really don't know. But I can say and that's going to be a journey, as you just said. But also then talking to audiences, and the hardest part for so many filmmakers right now is that they're losing that opportunity because of there's so few festivals that are able to pull off what the Woodstock Film Festival is doing, what the New York Film Festival is doing, with the help of Rooftop Films, and what some other the luckier, richer, or more successful festivals can throw some money at drive-ins and do that kind of thing. And then those filmmakers that are lucky to be in those get the opportunity to actually do Q&As, at least some variation on that. So then through that process, you do learn about your film in yet another perspective, from another perspective. So, and I do think you're right. I never thought I don't know that I ever thought about it, but when you were talking about it, it's almost like songwriting or about writing a novel or any other of those types of arts where you have an idea, but what ends up, happening is an organic process, and you're learning as you go each step of the way, like what your film's about. And when you watch this film in 10 years from now, and then again, maybe in 20 or 30 years, you may see a whole other film and think that, take away something very, very different. And that's the gift of it, I think. Ultimately.
Gift that keeps on giving.
It does. I think so. I mean,
yeah,
very much. Well, let's talk about. I do want to find out a little bit about where the process of. You hadn't made a film before. Did you come out of film school? Did you, are you self-taught, or because this is a very, I think, well-made film. It's a well-structured film, and it's ambitious.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to film school in college. I did eventually go to film school. I didn't study film in college.
You're an editor.
But I did, editing is, definitely a place where I learned most of what I know. But I grew up, my sister wanted to be an actor. My sister's older, 7 years older. And I grew up really kind of looking up to my sister. She was my hero. And so I always sort of wanted to be cool like my sister. So I would watch a lot of films, and I grew up sort of interested in it because of that. So, and my family's also very, old school Russian, from the former Soviet Union, and doing art and doing film in my house was like a real no-no. And my dad and my sister would, beat the shit out of each other throughout my childhood. I mean, not literally, but, emotionally. My dad was like, not in my house. So for me, it was always the idea of doing film or anything like that was always a very kind of private love affair and sort of forbidden fruit. So that was also part of the attraction. My family, were refugees when they came here, so they had a very
from Russia.
romantic from Ukraine, and so they had a very very romantic notion of this idea of chasing the American dream. And so movies have always, for me, especially old films, have always been a way for me to kind of try and, because I grew up in Brooklyn, I grew up here, but I had a very sort of first generation American sort of inheritance of that fascination with what that means, this idea of America. And so looking at old films was sort of my way of accessing that and processing and trying to understand,
When you say old, I'm nervous to get an answer, but when you say old
stuff, from the 30s and 40s and 50s, the classic Hollywood cinema, the whole shebang.
Okay, because movies from the 70s are 50 years old. It's sad. Where all of our heroes, of course, merged.
My first education, and I had sort of done a lot of my own homework by the time I got out of school. I wrote a play by the time in college I was working at the World Bank, and I ended up making a movie for them. And I was sort of like, what am I doing at the World Bank making a film? And at the same time, I had written a play. and the play was put on at the Philly Fringe Festival. And the lead actor had a nervous breakdown 2 weeks before the show and moved to Poland because his girlfriend put a restraining order on him. Moved to Poland and joined the army. So the director asked me to do it because there was no one else who knew the lines. It was 2 weeks before the show, so
you did the
that
role.
was sort of so it was sort of crash course. That was my first real kind of introduction. I made a bunch of short films, shot on black and white, 60 millimeter reversal. Wrote a bunch of stuff when I got out of school, and I was living in Harlem, and I was sneaking into the Columbia Library to watch films for free, and eventually they kicked me out. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I just got in there and didn't have to sneak in? And I didn't think it was going to happen. The day that I got my acceptance letter to the film school there, I moved downtown. So I did end up going to film school. And so that was another place where I was really looking for a community. I grew up, again, I didn't have artists around me growing up because, again, it was part of, it was just not part of what was okay. From my college was really my first time out of Brooklyn.
Did you have Hillary Brocker as a teacher?
I did not, unfortunately, but she's the best. She's a great person, great filmmaker. But I know her. We have, but I never took her class.
Okay. Yeah. Did you know her husband?
No.
Okay. Well, he's a cinematographer. Okay. And then, did you have Rob King?
Rob King?
Rob King? No. Just trying to figure out who some of your film teachers may have been at the.
Eric Mendelsohn was one of them.
Oh, Eric is lovely. He's one of the great screenwriters. He's and filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
He's avoided the show, but one of these.
Oh
days.
Yeah.
Well, not intentionally.
Really important. Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Well,
he's a very. He loves to talk. If you got him on this, he would talk your ear off, and he like famously held like 10-hour, 12-hour classes, so he could talk your head off. Which I don't want to get into. I don't know if this I should say. I think he had a temporary health issue at some point, which might have been the issue. So Eric was a very important person in my life. Richard Pena was a mentor. He used to be the festival director, program director at the New York Film Festival. Sure. Yeah. And that was one of the more fun relationships.
Man. Yeah.
And Susie Corda was a mentor, great editor. She edited the doc for All Mankind. So yeah, that was great. But another part of why I was there is I was really looking for a community. I didn't, when I got out of school, I was like, okay, I want to make films. I want to make stuff. I want to do art. I sort of came out of my shell and out of my proverbial closet, and I was like, all right, let's go do this. But there was really no one there to do it with me because I didn't really have those kinds of relationships. And so I spent a lot of time with it by myself. Like I was driving around the country with a little recorder, having to park and record thoughts and about this film or that filmmaker or what have you, because I didn't really have anyone else to talk about it with.
You talk to yourself.
So I talked to myself. Yeah.
Interesting. Strategy.
So school was an opportunity to meet people, to just have it out. Like let's talk about the things. Let's talk about shots. Let's talk about cuts. Let's talk about filmmakers, ideas, values, feelings. Let's do it. So that was that.
Wow, it's quite a journey then. So and what year did you finish the program?
2013. I don't know. I'm losing my memory.
It's okay. And then you've been editing primarily is your been
Yeah,
your.
I did it. Yeah, that's sort of how. Well, one of the great things that I got to do when I was at film school is I had all these brilliant filmmakers, talented people, more talented and smarter than I am. That I got to edit their films. Somebody, you know, I had to pay rent, so I was working as an editor. I was freelancing, and so at some point I got a little bit of a, I don't know, reputation for being somebody who could assemble cut a film together. And so that was really its own kind of school, learning from filmmakers from all over the world, really talented, smart, sensitive people about, you know, how they made their films, and working with them, exchanging ideas that way. Yeah, and I got really lucky. I, you know, worked on a thesis film by Christina Choe. We went to school together, and she ended up making this, you know, incredible feature, Nancy, that played at Sundance a couple years ago, and
Saw it.
that. So that was a really special experience, and I learned a lot from her. Yeah, I learned a lot from every person I met, you know, worked with.
You're a sponge.
I try. I think it's mainly because I just don't like myself very much. I like everyone else more. So like, I'm just like, how do I be cool like you guys?
Those don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can like everybody more and still like yourself.
Yeah.
But you know,
I'm trying. I'm working on it. That's why I made this film.
You should like yourself, and you should like your film and be proud of it. And it premiered at a New York Film Festival, at a festival in New York.
Well, we were supposed to open Tribeca.
All right.
And
another word, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that was canceled, as we know. But the nice thing is, the juried competition still went ahead, and we won the Best Actress and Best Cinematography, so that was really great.
Which actress won? Kate Lyn?
Or Assol Abdullina, the Kyrgyz
Assol Abdullina, right? One of the four.
One of the four leads, yeah.
Right.
And she co-wrote the film with me as well, so it was special to see her win.
That's nice. That's a nice bonus to it.
Really,
and the other three actors we'll mention: Kate Lyn Sheil, Lindsay Burdge, of course. Both of whom have done the show. I was hoping maybe.
Oh wow!
And then the fourth is Jade Eshete.
Jade Eshete, yep.
Eshete.
Another brilliant actress, and who I co-wrote the film with as well. I co-wrote it with Jade and with Assol. I met Jade in an acting class. Yeah.
It's very important to network and to keep those relationships. You never know.
Well, actually, so have you seen Fight Club?
That's the one with
Edward Norton and Brad Pitt.
Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. I think I saw. Yes, I saw it, of course.
Okay, good. So you know how Edward Norton was sitting in on support groups to feel better and get to have a fix, watch other people suffer. Boom, there you go. So you know. So that
second time you've underestimated me. I will
never do it again.
It's the last time.
So that was sort of me with acting classes. I was sitting in on acting classes in the city, squatting in acting classes, watching actors suffer to get my fix. No, I was trying to learn. I was watching actors, and I happened to take one class, in Meisner-based class, and Maggie Flanagan's class, who is one of the greatest human beings ever. She let me sit in on her conservatory for a year. So I was coming in two nights a week, and Jade was in that class. And that's how we connected.
See, what I'd like to do is, I think it would be awesome since you have this video opportunity. We should do maybe when your film goes finally for its main distribution.
Megaplexes, yes.
Megaplexes. At an Apple TV near you or whatever. But no, when you have that worked out, we should do this again, and we should get the actors.
Get the gang together. Yeah, that would be incredible. I'd love that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool. It's hard. I mean, we'll see. But that takes a lot of coordinating.
Let's do it. We'll do it.
The thing I'll say, the other, they got also in Sturgill Simpson, which was kind of a surprise. We only have a couple of minutes left, but how do you, he's a country star, but he's like a, like a very, I saw his concert online because my friend who's from North Carolina says you should watch it, you know, and I liked his whole message. He's, and then he's also, his music goes back to, is a look back at traditional music, you know?
Yeah, no, he was a really, really wonderful, you know, unexpected get. I was talking to a casting director and I was describing the role. I'm like, you know, he's a, you know, sort of one of these sort of middle America, forgotten man, disgruntled white, you know, that dude. And she's like, oh, I got just the guy, Sturgill Simpson. So right. So that's how that happened. And then I hadn't seen, I had been familiar with his music, but I started watching some of his interviews on talk shows, and I just fell in love with him. I was like, I love this guy. I want to be close to him. I want to.
I know.
Yeah.
You want it, and then you can offer him a role, and they're all looking to try that, right? So.
What's that?
They're all looking for a good dramatic role. I mean, I think a lot of musicians, you know, that I think they're all closeted actor wannabes, and probably and probably the flip side is true as well.
Well, he did a few things. He was in Queen and Slim, and the cop in
Queen and Slim. He was the cop in that.
Oh yeah.
He was in The Hunt. He's one of the.
Oh, that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Greg
Noble's a friend of the podcast.
Oh, cool. Yeah. He had such nice words to say about Craig Zobel.
Oh yeah, he's a sweet guy, great guy, really nice. As a matter of fact, when we first went into quarantine, he's the first guy that I did. We didn't end up doing a video version of this because I was still kind of figuring out what was going to be, but we did one of these podcasts. Anyway, I don't want to get this too off the topic. I do want to mention that your film, which again is called Materna, if you're in the Hudson Valley, get tickets. It's at the Overlook Drive-In, which I think is the one pop-up drive-in they've set up in Woodstock, correct?
No, it's actually in Poughkeepsie. It's one of the oldest.
Let me rephrase. That's the big one.
The Overlook. It's the big one. It's one of the biggest, oldest.
Normally 700 plus.
Yeah.
They'll
6-story screen.
Oh, that's Poughkeepsie. Okay, that's a great spot.
Yeah.
And even if it's a day before, I'm pretty sure they're going to have room because they can accommodate a very large number of
and we'll be tailgating from 5 to 7 with some of our cast and crew. Yes, safely, responsibly. So you're welcome to join. Please come.
The Materna is not enough. You know, the documentary Zappa follows. It's a documentary, I assume.
Zappa doc, yeah.
And it's doors at 5. This is Friday, October 2nd, in Poughkeepsie at the Overlook Drive-In. Doors open at 5:30. First film, yours, Materna, starts at 7. And then, yada, who cares? I'm not here to plug Zappa. Well, no, it's at 9:30. But, and then also your film, we mentioned Kate Lyn Sheil, lovely person, Jade Eshete, Lindsay Burdge, Assol Abdullina. Did I get first name? Assol?
Yep, Assol, Abdullina, yeah.
And then Sturgill and Rory Culkin. Culkin Dynasty.
Brilliant actor.
And also Filmwax friend, I can say that because he appeared on here from Woodstock Film Festival 2019. Michael Chernus.
Michael Chernus, he'll be there. He'll be at the drive-in.
He will?
Come hang out with Michael Chernus. Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. Is this on set?
We'll be doing a live Q&A at the screening.
I would like to have a reunion with that guy, but I'm supposed to do another. No, we'll see. I did tweet him because I'd like to get him back on. Oh, we're down to less than a minute. And Kara Young. Well, then now we mentioned everybody.
Kara Young, who's just exploding right now. She just had another profile in the Times. Another brilliant actor. And Cassandra Freeman, who is they're all just. I got really lucky with this cast. So
Well, some may say luck, some may say more than that, but thank you very much. It was
thank you,
great.
Adam. Pleasure. Yeah, fun. I also love your decor, the red
Clown
mic. Yeah, against the black and white plaid. It works. It pops.
Oh, good.
I like your production design.
Thank you. I was going to get one of those that hang over, that clip on and hang over like so it wouldn't be take up the table.
Like the old clock you got back there too.
Yeah, I just moved in here a few months ago, so I'm.
Oh, and the guitar. Do you play?
Yeah, I play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, fun
We'll
time.
get cut off any second, but I'm glad we pulled this off, and I'll have this up.
We did it.
I'll have this up post haste.
Okay.
And if Michaela is still listening,
She's gone. She's gone. But yeah, let's do this again. I had fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching and doing this.
It was fun. I enjoyed meeting you.
Likewise. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.